WANDRD is a company that's had my attention for some time now. So when I started getting a lot of requests to review their transit backpack, I decided it was time to dive in, see what the company's all about, and if this is more than just a good looking bag. So editor me, roll that intro, baby. Okay. Hello and welcome back to Gear Grind Reviews. I'm Nathan. I do honest, hands-on gear reviews for my fellow bag boys and bag girls. Bag girl, there's like one of you, according to my analytics. And I do mean honest. As you'll see in this review, in addition to highlighting where they nailed the execution, I will not be holding back on the things that disappointed me. And by the way, I did buy this bag myself. Nothing I say is influenced by the company or anyone else. And there are some affiliate links below if you're interested in any of the products mentioned. So when I was testing out this bag, it became very apparent that I have a deeply etched neural pathway when it comes to travel bags, etched by none other than the Peak Design Travel Backpack. I just wanted to review this one on its own merit first, but yes, a full comparison video will be coming out between the WANDRD Transit Backpack and the Peak Design 45 liter. In that video, I'll be fleshing out the differences as I see them between this bag and the Peak Design one. So subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss that. And I would never tell you to smash that like button because I hate that, but give it a little gentle tap. It's very fragile, you see. So first up, design and first impressions. The WANDRD Transit is a sleek and modern bag. I think it has a pretty nice, clean silhouette. I had that initial aesthetic wow factor that it takes for me to even really notice a bag. So I have the 45 liter variation here, and it measures 22 inches high, 12.5 inches wide, and has a depth of 11 inches when fully expanded and 9 inches when the compression zipper is fully engaged. When I picked it up for the first time, I noticed two things: build and heft. And it is worth noting that this bag tips the scales. Even by travel backpack standards, it has a weight of 4.6 pounds. It's available in black in addition to this Wasatch green, which I think I said that right. I've been to Utah like one time. I don't know, okay? But in person, it's more of a subdued gray, green type of a color. I like it. It's very unique. You don't see a lot of this particular shade, I don't think, in many bags. The exterior is predominantly a smooth tarpaulin material, which to me gives off more of like a utilitarian, almost rubberized vibe rather than like a high-end textile feel. And it's seemingly identical to WANDRD's Provoke series, but if you're comparing to a company's offerings like Peak Design or Aer, those have more of like a refined woven finish. And so to me, this feels less premium. Still, design-wise, I appreciate the clean lines and the promise of functionality. Just from like a cosmetic perspective, that's all I'm talking about at this moment. I just don't prefer it. Tarpaulin and ballistic nylon are what you're going to see on the exterior, and there's good reasons for both. To its credit, tarpaulin is known for being extremely water resistant. I have a huge tarp on my firewood out back for that exact reason. It's meant for that application. It's great at that. And that is a big plus. So as anyone that's traveled knows, it's not a question of if you'll run into unexpected weather, it's when. Like, take enough trips, it is going to happen. Downside of this material, it looks really clean and smooth. That comes at the cost of showing scuffs and scratches very easily and very quickly. And that doesn't mean the functionality is easily compromised, because tarpaulin is very durable, But the cosmetics kind of are compromised in that way when it has this smooth finish over the top of the tarpaulin. The ballistic nylon parts cover high wear areas, namely the bottom panel, portions of the back, and then the shoulder straps also use it. It's definitely a tougher woven finish. And later we'll go over whether or not this is purely a good thing that they made that decision. But these touches do add durability where you need it, like when you plop the bag down on concrete. And overall, the bag does give you confidence that it can handle a lot of abuse. I will definitely give it that. And one material choice I have to point out, there's no fleece lining or anything like it anywhere on the interior, on any one of the pockets. Unlike so many bags that I've used, including some of WANDRD's own, that give you a plush lined pocket for your phone or sunglasses. Here, all the interior fabric, all of it, is nylon or mesh. And by itself, that's not a deal breaker, okay, but a little luxury touch that I noticed was missing. The Transit's top pocket, while roomy, it's just the same liner material. Overall, and I think you'll definitely notice this theme throughout this video, WANDRD took a strictly utilitarian approach with this bag. I mean, it definitely has a modern spin on it, don't get me wrong, but in terms of materials used, it can come across pretty pedestrian for what this bag costs. Visually, the exterior layout packs a lot in without looking too busy, especially in the black colorway, but in the green colorway, I still think the design is well done. And I actually kind of like the contrast of the black zippers. This bag manages to keep a very clean silhouette, and the company does deserve recognition for that. All right, let's talk hardware and zippers, because WANDRD definitely put in some thought here. So first up, all of the zippers are YKK. That is always a green flag. It has AquaGuard style water resistant zippers on the outside, except for the compression zipper for some reason. I suspect they wanted a more flexible zipper for this one so it could more easily serve its purpose if the bag was packed really full. And these zippers do have a special party trick, but this is what they call their worry less zippers, okay? Nearly every external zipper has these large U-shaped ring pulls that can interlock with each other, which is a pretty cool take on an anti-theft measure. In practice, yes, I'd say it works. If a thief was just like creeping up behind you, he'd first have to like, or she, could be a she, they'd first have to figure out how does it work, you know, like it might not be immediately obvious. It does take a fair amount of force to disengage them. So they're gonna kind of make a spectacle of it if like you're wearing the bag, and then you just turn around and ta! Disclaimer, I'm not endorsing you break your thief's neck, okay? And I think for the majority of users, this is going to be a nice to have, but seldom used feature, because the reality is a feature that makes it harder for someone that's not supposed to get into the bag, makes it harder for you to get into the bag. And now onto the not so great part of the zippers, they can tend to stick a little bit. It's not egregious, it's not a huge deal, but any added frustration when you're going through security is not welcome, you know? But I do think after having the bag for a while, that will diminish a little bit as it gets broken in. As for the rest of the hardware, all the buckles and clips are high quality plastic, but plastic all the same. If they had implemented higher quality aluminum or something like that, I think that just goes a long way to making the bag feel more like a premium product. This bag does have 4 grab handles. There's one on each side, one on the top, of course, and even one on the bottom. I think that's kind of a prerequisite, especially for a travel bag when you're hoisting it up into overhead bins, turning it around on the conveyor belt and security, things like that. So I like to see that they added those, and they're very high quality. The stitching's great, ballistic nylon, definitely a good use of it there. On one side of the bag, you do have an exposed water bottle holder, and instead of just using an elastic band that can adjust to the size of whatever water bottle you're putting into it, for whatever reason, they have a zipper here. If you're putting any size water bottle into this, that's gonna have to come down. So it's just kind of like a head scratcher with that one. I'm just not really sure in what case that's better. I'm just not. But a big win on the same side pocket, this is not a compression strap like I first thought when I picked up the bag. That is really meant to just keep a travel size tripod like Peak Design's tripod that I have. You can fasten this over the top of it, because with Peak Design's own bag, it's really not a great experience. It wobbles around a bunch. So as far as using this side pocket with a tripod, having that strap there, it's just a better experience, like hands down. Next up is interior and organization. So starting from the top of the bag, you can see this is where I put everything when I'm running through TSA pocket. It's got room for just about anything I can think of when you're going through security. But as I mentioned, no soft lining. Maybe it's just me, but I really wish I could have seen like a soft, maybe stretchy material in there that's just a bit more welcoming for more fragile items. And then on the other side of the bag, you'll see another pocket. It's maybe a bit smaller. If nothing else, definitely makes sense to be your dedicated key pocket. Like when I travel, I want to put my keys somewhere that I know they'll still be when I get back a week or 2 weeks later, because there is no worse fate than finally getting home dead tired on fumes, and you have no idea which pocket it could possibly be in, or if they even made it back into the country. And then on the front of the bag, you have this massive full height pocket here. There's no subdividers or anything like that. It's just, guess what? More nylon. I wouldn't mind throwing things in that as well if I was going through security or flat documents, anything. And then this one surprised me. There's actually another full height pocket there. And that one does have subdividers. There's 2 mesh pockets there that have some elastic. So here's what I'd say about front panel storage. It is nice to have the options, but I think if I could wave a wand, I would omit one or the other. I would rather have all that space with one access. It's not like you're doubling the storage because you have double the access points. You're competing for the same real estate there. And both of the zippers on the front panel storage are much smaller, but still YKK zippers. Very smooth, very nice. And I really like the pull tabs on there too. They kind of just like bite into your fingerprints. Very nice to use. And on to the star of the show, the main compartment. This is a travel bag, so that's pretty important. And main thing you'll notice, it opens to the side horizontally, like a suitcase. When I first saw that, I was like, why don't more bags do that? You're not gonna always have like a long vertical space to unfurl your bag, you know? I always kind of think that's a bit annoying. I think this makes a lot more sense, especially considering the fact that the laptop is in the back of the bag. It's not also stored in the part that's flinging open. So you're not fighting with the weight of the laptop as you're opening it, closing it. And that's just a better experience, actually. So there you go. This isn't just one-sided. Peak Design did it better, Peak Design did it better, because they didn't. There are a lot of things that actually score major points with this bag, and that is definitely one of them. The interior looks really nice, I think. On the Wasatch Green one that I have, it's color matched. It's that same nice muted green color. You can also access the main storage from the side pockets, which you'll see on each side there. It does have these elasticized mesh pockets on each side. The design of the main compartment here is pretty modular, which I think is obviously the smart move with a travel bag. You could either use packing cubes, of course, or a camera cube, including WANDRD Zone, which I have. It's got these flaps on each side, intended to be kind of an insert for the flap from the camera cube. So when you're using the side axis, it's already folded up and ready for the gear. It's visible, it's right there. I think that was really smart. I can definitely see the value there as someone that's having to get a camera and having to store it many times on many trips. That's cool. And you also see these flaps on the side that use Velcro, and that's just meant to be a tethering point to give the camera cube some stability. And you will see a series of nylon loops all across the interior of the bag. And those you could use with WANDRD strap to have another compression option, not included, by the way. This is an extra accessory. On the interior of the front panel that swings open, you'll see two very large mesh pockets here. They're semi-see-through, just enough to kind of discern what's in there without opening it. And YKK zippers again. And they do have these little fabric zipper garages here, kind of a nice touch. Anything you'd rather not have thrown into main storage with everything else, I think that's a great place for that. And while we're on the front panel interior, the whole thing unzips completely, and they've got this loop here so you don't have to use each zipper independently. Kind of cool. Just pull it all at once. And guess what? More nylon, which is fine. Like it doesn't matter here. And this is a really cool feature I can see being extremely useful. This is in effect a massive full height packing cube. You just open this up, pack the crap out of it as much as you can, then zip the compression zipper all the way around, and bam, you saved a fair amount of space there. So I think that was a really, really smart use of space. I'd like to see that kind of thing done more often. So laptop storage on this bag. WANDRD decided to go with the approach of external access, which I think is amazing. Like I 100% of the time have my laptop when I'm traveling literally anywhere. So for me, this compared to another bag that I have, Peak Design, it is so much easier to get to my laptop through one dedicated zipper without having to splay open the whole bag. And at least in my case, in my opinion, that is better. It's just better. And there is a false bottom in this compartment as well. So when you set this bag down on concrete or something, there's not going to be that direct contact, and it's not going to absorb shock nearly as much or at all, I think, with that false bottom. So smart addition there. So before wrapping up on storage and organization, let's not forget about a couple of hidden pockets. One is in the back panel. It's like a secret zippered pocket for your passport, cash, or documents. Whatever you store here is quite secure. It's not only against your back as it's being worn, but even then it's obscured by the back panel padding. They did sneak in one more pocket down here. This is designated as a rainfly pocket, which is not included, also an added accessory. It's pretty compact, pretty tight. This is the ballistic nylon here, so there's really not much flexibility there. So overall, for the organization and storage component of this bag, I may not be the biggest fan of all the materials. It's not that I think they're bad or I dislike them. It's just they don't move the needle a whole lot for me. But how they designed it, you can clearly tell a ton of thought was put into it. So really very commendable for a V1 product, which this is. I'd love to see what they're gonna do next. Okay, so a 45-liter backpack, fully loaded, can get very, very heavy. So comfort is huge. So let's talk about the shoulder straps on this bag. A lot of people are looking for like ultra plush shoulder straps when they're buying a travel bag. You're not really gonna find that here. But I think the bigger concern for me than the padding, this is ballistic nylon, like I mentioned at the top of the video. With how they stitched this together, it's not a real great feeling. This is just one of the examples with this bag where I would have liked to see a bit more refinement. I mean, this is like your main touch point with the bag, right? If you're using it, it's on you, it's touching you. And the back pads do detach using Velcro. And the reason for this is so that you can store those straps. So if you wanted to carry it briefcase style, you could without those flapping around. It's not the most elegant approach I've seen, but at least it's a feature you can use. You do have a sternum strap included. Very easy to attach and detach. Like, couldn't be easier, but it's still very secure. It's a rail system, so tons of options depending on what's most comfortable for you and your build. And then something I haven't had on a travel bag before, load lifters. Easy enough even while wearing it to engage or disengage, so I like that addition. And there is another notable omission here. There is no hip belt included. It can accept one, they make one, but sold separately. Okay, so let's talk about the overall structure of the bag. It does have a frame sheet in the back. It does add quite a bit of rigidity to the back of the bag. But in general, and this is largely a fault of the tarpaulin, I think, it has no real rigidity inherently, I would say. So unless this thing is packed pretty full, it's gonna kind of take the shape of whatever's in it. But the carrying experience, I would say, is reasonably comfortable. Despite the straps not being overly plush, the back padding is. Like, there's quite a bit there. Maybe not my favorite material. It does feel a little bit off the shelf, but it does make for a comfortable carrying experience. Okay, so as we wrap up, who is this bag for? Who should consider this bag? I think it's the person who sees more value in like the utilitarian aspects and maybe far less in like the minimalist, more restrained approach. You may not find yourself wowed by the textures or surprised by the use of a certain custom material, but the reality is you may not care about any of that stuff. It may have seemed like I was a little bit harsh on this bag, and if I was, I just look at it this way. If you're playing with the big boys like Peak Design and Aer and Evergoods, you're going to be judged by that standard against those peers. But at the end of the day, my job, as I see it with this channel, is just to give my pure and honest thoughts on where I think this bag stacks up to the competition, especially when it's coming to market at pretty much the exact same pricing. So that's just what I'm trying to do here. So with that, let's talk pricing and value. The WANDRD Transit Travel Backpack comes in at $330 US at the time of this filming. When you're in this range, you're paying for quality materials, brand reputation, and like a unique feature set. So does the Transit Travel Backpack earn its price tag? In many ways, yes. You're getting very strong build, the tarpaulin, the ballistic nylon, the YKK, everything, every single zipper. A lifetime warranty from WANDRD, which you know how I feel about that, especially at this price range. I feel it's crucial. So for everything I said about where I think this bag could have used some improvements, none of it was about any concern with durability. I think this thing's a tank. And that peace of mind alone could be worth the investment for you. However, I also have to weigh the value compared to the competition. There are too many direct competitors to really mention here, but Aer and Evergoods are some that really have my attention. Peak Design, which they also now have an outdoor travel backpack variation, separate product line, but it looks very interesting to me. That's one that I'm really excited to get in. Okay guys, that is it for this one. And like I said in the beginning, I got requests to compare this one to the Peak Design Travel Backpack. That's absolutely the next one up. I think it makes a ton of sense to more directly compare the two, feature by feature, spec by spec, material by material. So I hope you'll consider subscribing so you don't miss it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.